The hidden pain of Empress Elisabeth, a mother's broken legacy. Imagine being remembered as one of the most beautiful women in Europe, while at the same time being blamed for the death of your child. Imagine living in palaces, adored by millions, but feeling like a prisoner in your own life. This was the world of Empress Elisabeth of Austria, Sisi, a woman worshipped as a legend, but broken as a mother, and the fate of her children. It was a story filled with sorrow, conflict, and betrayal. Let us step behind the veil of glamour and uncover the hidden tragedies that history tried to disguise. A fairy tale that never was. When Sisi married Emperor Franz Joseph in 1854, the world saw it as a fairytale wedding. She was just 16, lively, romantic, and completely unprepared for the suffocating rules of Vienna's imperial court. Her husband adored her, but the real power lay in the hands of his mother, Archduchess Sophie, a stern and controlling matriarch who had already shaped emperors before. For young Elizabeth, she wasn't just a mother-in-law. She was an enemy, the first children, joy and cruelty. Within a year of marriage, Sisi gave birth to her first daughter, Sophie, but joy quickly turned to heartache. Archduchess Sophie seized control, deciding how the children would be raised, even going so far as to declare Elizabeth unfit to be a mother. And when Sisi dared to protest, she was coldly reminded that without a male heir, she was essentially worthless. The fateful journey to Hungary. In 1857, Elizabeth insisted on taking her two young daughters with her to Hungary, despite warnings that both were ill. For Sisi, the trip was an escape from Vienna's suffocating court life, a chance to breathe freely at last. But the escape turned into tragedy. 2-year-old Sophie fell gravely sick and died in her mother's arms. Elizabeth had to return to Vienna carrying the body of her child, while her husband continued his political tour. For the Empress, this loss shattered her spirit. Her grief was dismissed by the court, even mocked by her mother-in-law. From that moment, depression never left her. The heir arrives, but the distance grows. In 1858, Elizabeth gave birth to a son, Rudolph, the long-awaited crown prince. The crisis of succession was solved, but Sisi's unhappiness only deepened. Struggling with illness and despair, she fled Vienna for years, leaving her children behind. When she finally returned, Gisela and Rudolph barely recognized her. To them, their mother was a stranger, Rudolph's torment. As Rudolph grew, Franz Joseph demanded he become a soldier. But the boy was frail, sensitive, and more interested in science and politics than war. His tutors were cruel, waking him at night with gunshots and forcing him into brutal drills. When a secret report revealed the abuse, Sisi intervened and had the tutor dismissed. But soon after, she left the court again, chasing her own freedom while Rudolph remained under his father's shadow. Rudolph would grow into a brilliant yet troubled man, a prince trapped between modern ideas and an outdated empire. His story would end in the most shocking way possible: beauty as a prison. While her children longed for her presence, Elizabeth devoted herself to her beauty and fitness regime, one that would dominate her life. She exercised daily, starved herself to maintain an unnaturally tiny waist, and spent hours on her famously long hair. Her obsession with youth and appearance made her a legend, but it also distanced her further from her family, Marie Valerie, the only one. In 1868, Sisi gave birth to her youngest daughter, Marie Valerie, in Hungary. Unlike the others, this child became the center of her world. Elizabeth smothered her with affection, dragging her from city to city, never letting her out of sight. But what seemed like love soon became a burden. Marie Valerie grew resentful, describing in her diary how she felt crushed under her mother's expectations. Eventually, she turned toward her father instead. The fate of Gisela and Rudolph. While Valerie was sheltered, the older children faced harsher destinies. At just 15, Gisela was married off to Prince Leopold of Bavaria, never consulted about her future. Rudolph, meanwhile, became a brilliant but tortured soul. He opposed his father's rigid rule, wrote secretly against imperial policies, and sought solace in affairs and alcohol. His life spiraled into despair. In 1889, at the Mayerling hunting lodge, Rudolph ended his life, taking his 17-year-old lover, Mary Vetsera, with him. The news shocked Europe. For Elizabeth, it was the final blow. She never wore color again, the end of an empress. In 1898, while walking along Lake Geneva, Elizabeth was assassinated by an anarchist. Her death stunned the world, but for those close to her, it almost seemed like a release. Sisi had lived her life chasing freedom, beauty, and escape. But in the end, her children paid the price. Gisela, sold into marriage. Rudolph, driven to suicide. Marie Valerie, suffocated by love that was too heavy to bear. Empress Elisabeth remains one of history's most fascinating figures, a woman remembered for her beauty, but haunted by loss. Behind the myth of Sisi lies a mother whose children lived and died in her shadow. So, what do you think? Was Sisi a victim of her circumstances, or did her pursuit of freedom make her blind to her children's suffering? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories from history.